Good morning, everyone. This is the Kubeflow SDK and ML Experience Working Group community call on 22nd of October. As always, we're going to record this call and I'm going to publish on YouTube afterwards. And we follow the CNCF code of conduct. So please be welcoming to each other. So before we start, any new people here on the call who just want to say hello, introduce themselves before we get started? Yeah, feel free to use chat or, just unmute yourself. Right, otherwise we can go over the agenda items. So I think first of all, we have a few things to talk about the release and the kale. So maybe Adriel, you can first of all talk about kale and we can swap the release discussion.
Yes, of course. So in general, we have been progressing on some issues. I think that William can talk about that later, but our main topic and priority for now is try to understand what do we need to do to send a pull request before Kubeflow to have the first first pull request for Kale donation. So I think that's one of the first things we need to identify uh, to continue. Then in Kale, we are pretty close to have our first meet. We are working together. We already have a working Kale version. We are right now fixing some contributions, readmes, and GitHub actions. But again, our main concern right now, or main priority is what are the steps we need to follow to have our first Kale, what we need to do to set up a request for Kale donation.
Sounds great. Any timeline for submitting this, proposal to donate kale to Kubeflow?
The idea is in the next 2 weeks. For that,
Okay.
so we need to sit together for that. So that's the next thing we are going to be working on.
All right, that sounds good. Anything else? I noticed that William, you added a few things to the agenda, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Do you want to talk about them? Do you want to share your screen or do you want me to share my screen?
Yeah, that's fine if you want to share. There's a video in APR that will show Kubeflow KO in action, the lab extension actually, because the backend is very much working well. But on our last meeting, I talked about two issues that were preventing us for fixing the examples. And I'm glad to share that these two priority issues are now merged. KO is the Kubeflow KO lab extension is functional at this time, so anyone can build from the sources and run it locally because this person will be able to create workflows from their notebooks and submit to Kubeflow pipelines. And right now I will be working to fix the examples, and because we have the super issues, it unblocked it from fixing the examples. And also, Hannah is working on a very important issue, which is KO, how it handles exceptions. And we also have Adam, who it's too late for joining this meeting, but Adam is worked on a issue that was very important, which shows the deploy progress of a KO pipeline on the Kubeflow pipelines. And also, he's now working on code improvements, which is not a blocker for the release, but it will be good for us in the future, in the near future. That's all.
So with all those parts already there, actually you can use Kale now, which is a great achievement. So thank you everyone involved in making this possible. So now the next steps, as I said before, is sync with Stefano and Eda, and send the donation proposal for the community, which is the next most important thing we should be working on the next 2 weeks.
Exactly. And one thing is that the build is much simpler now. So if anyone want to contribute to Kale, the README and also the steps are standard steps for building a lab extension. I mean, the backend, there's no secret. It's just a Python library to be built, but the front end was a little complicated. But now I think we got to a point that it's much easier to contribute to Kale. and even run it locally when building from source.
This is great. Like, I'm wondering if you want to give a demo at some point in this call or community call, when it is kind of partially ready.
We usually prepare demos internally, so
Mhm.
we have some demos that we can, and we can. I don't know if this is the best call for doing that, but we usually try to have a 5-minute demo, no more than that, and probably we can do that next time. If maybe by next week we can bring or even paste the
Yeah.
demo somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having the demo on this call, maybe community call, will be super helpful. The Kubeflow community call on Tuesdays. So maybe, we can start with next week if, you have something ready to show to the Kubeflow community. And we can also use these calls for folks who aren't really following the community calls to also show the demo. I think it's good. At least like it gives others, perspective what are the progress, and it's always a good thing to show it.
Okay.
May I show how it is looking now, and then we can prepare I can share my screen to show how it's looking now, so people
Yeah,
will
if
have an idea.
like in just 5 minutes, right, William? So you can definitely show if you're ready something here.
Okay, let me share my screen. It will be real fast. Just to, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so the idea of Kale is that you have your notebook, so you can enable Kale. So this is the left panel, and you will see that Kale will allow us to add this metadata to your script. So you can indeed then add some of the built-ins pipeline steps with this metadata, or you can create your own. And once you are ready to do your stuff, you can, once you are ready, you annotated your notebook, you can just click on this button here, and it will send your notebook to KFP. So if we see KFP, I think it's here. Let me give you a more meaningful name so we can easily see it there. Okay, so I'm submitting a new run here. And these links, we are working to fix it, but soon we should have it working to go to KFP automatically. So if we go to our default, you can see that it's submitted from the notebook. It transformed the notebook into a pipeline. And if you go to the execution, you can see that everything that you annotated will be transformed to the pipeline steps, and you can see it from the Kubeflow pipeline screen. But basically, the idea is that on next demo, I can start from scratch anyone. There is a few things, but the idea is you create your notebook, you add the annotations, and KO will automatically transform this into a Kubeflow pipeline. That's basically it. Any question?
Sad?
Yeah, I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Cool.
I like the site, like sidebar thing, but would it be like a full page? Would it be an option, like if you have it as a full page? And also, would we can like that's just like an idea out of the blue, as usual. If we support any mechanism in Kale to automatically fetch examples, let's say from our Git repos. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just came to my mind. If people are using Kale already, and do we have any mechanism to allow to reach to the open source, to like our repos and get the notebooks from somewhere to show them to the user, or open a notebook and guide the user through the notebook with like some highlights. Here is how you do pipeline, or list the examples notebooks and say, okay, if you want to create a pipeline, this is a notebook. But Kale takes a charge of kind of packaging or fetching this kind of example and preparing it for the user right away. That's all. But great work. Thank you.
So there is no. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yes.
So when you mean like a full page, do you mean instead of having that left-hand panel? Could you go back to Kale, Will?
Yes. Like in a, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So this is the whole all of this page is Kale. If you click out of the Kale deployment panel, then all these little like labels and stuff go away, and you're just back to the normal notebook.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Does that answer your question, or?
Yeah, I didn't, and I'm not 100%. I didn't know like how it works end to end, but yeah, I didn't know like that you enable this and it will annotate all your stuff. I was thinking maybe it opens like a notebook or something. Not a notebook, but the page that you have it on the sidebar would open on the right. But what you have here makes more sense because it's actually, it aids the notebook. It doesn't replace the notebook, if you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So yeah, that totally makes sense.
So
I
it's different
take it
from
back.
it's different, for instance, from Elira, that you need to create a new file to create a pipeline. Here, the only thing you need to do is you have your notebook, and you annotate the notebook with some metadata that lets you create the pipeline itself. So it's a little bit, it's a different concept around. But in the end, it's the same. Like you try to connect blocks to execute the pipeline. The second thing is how to run the examples. Yes, we don't have a way to connect directly to a GitHub repo right now, for instance, or how these samples are, is you can download the repo. William, can you show please the list of files? You can download the repo with the examples, and you can directly use those examples. So that's how it works today. Maybe we can work someday in the future for a connector where we can go and search for Kale examples in the community. But right now it is file-based. So if you have an example, you just enable Kale and you have that there.
Yeah, what I meant really, like you don't have to download the whole repo, like use parse the checkout or something like that to kind of get the directory or the single example. It automatically goes and lists like the example that are available and says like here is the example that you might want, and then that would be. But anyway, it's just like it's maybe it's too much.
No, I mean I believe it's a great idea. We should explore a little bit more how to do that, especially on how we download things, or if we have them as snippets, maybe. I don't know, but probably it's a good thing to explore for the future, for sure. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your contribution.
Yeah, I would say that's a good thing to follow up on the Slack as well. So if you could start some discussion there.
We'll do, yeah. We'll do. Thanks, William. Thanks.
Any other question? Okay, so thank you all, and feel free to add more discussions to the Slack channel as well.
Yeah, I think this is
That's
great.
it from our side.
Yeah, I think this is great. Like, I think, having support for new version of pipelines is really good. I think we also support Jupyter Lab 4.0, right? If I remember correctly. We migrated to the new Jupyter Lab release.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
And the new Python version, right, William?
I think the Python version is 3.10, but it's been working on a PR from Stefano.
Yeah, I think this is great. Let's definitely show up this in the community call, maybe having more kind of concrete example with multiple steps, how you convert the cells to the pipelines, and maybe show something which will be useful for, for users who, like rather than using TFP DSL, they can directly use the annotations on the cells to create the pipelines. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think so what Kale, I believe it's previously also support HPO. I guess this is kind of like in the future will be, discussed, right? Hyperparameter optimization I'm talking about.
Yeah. For now, it's like we made it. We put all the pieces together, like the backend and the front end. But for sure, like I mean, we can now. This is just the starting point. From now on, we can discuss about anything we may be interesting for the community for sure.
Makes sense. Right. Let's move on. So a couple of things regarding to anything else on the KL side, or we can move on.
No, we can move on. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, so like first of all, we released the trainer. So like we released the first release candidate is ready to try out. I think this is actually a pretty big release for us because it has a lot of really great features, starting from data cache. And this is our first release where actually we'll introduce data cache. So definitely we will working on documentation updates to make sure, people know how they can try this out. And there are a lot of integration with, with KQ project, with Volcano. KQ actually also very interesting because we're supporting like right now topology-aware scheduling, which is previously was not possible to support because of some API limitations. And there are other, updates like, new MLX runtimes with CUDA, which is also pretty cool. Supporting for like LoRa backends, for parameter efficient fine tuning with TorchTune. And other things in terms of API updates to ensure we have like a robust integration with Q project. So this is kind of like the first RC. Please try this out and let us know if you see any issues. Like if you have any issues and want to report something, you can use our Slack channel, or you can use this issue, like the Kubeflow Trainer v2.1 release. Feel free to add, any of your problems here. I think I link this issue right here. So I think there are a couple of kind of pending items which I don't know if we have time to cover, like for example, supporting JAX. We kind of like, I think we probably will give one more week for a contributor to see if he can finalize the work. Otherwise, we probably need to postpone it to the next release, the JAX runtime. And I think there are kind of the pending item for data cache, I guess, for you actually to create documentation. Is there any other pending PRs that we want to merge before release? I think we also have this one, which we might need to ping contributor to see if he can finalize it. I probably will just make a note here. Anything else I'm missing here? Maybe actually, or Antonio, let's see you join. Like maybe like what we need to work on the review.
You mean for this one in particular, or in general for 2.1?
Yeah, in general, like before
Yeah.
2.1.
No, as far as I can say, except but the one you've already covered, like for the JAX and this one, I think that should be good to go as far as I can tell.
Yep, that sounds good. I think one of the interesting probably PRs that I would love to see is the publishing the Helm charts, which is kind of straightforward because some people using Helm, and we don't have right now. We don't really publish our Helm
Yeah.
charts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. There is also one that would be useful for Helm. Is there is one open that's been open for quite a while now. It's the end-to-end test to cover the Helm chart, which would be great to cover any regressions or.
Let me make a note here. So we're planning to release. Yeah, let's see if we can finalize it before this or next week. And yeah, the testing I would say kind of yeah, I think it's important. You're talking about testing
not blocking
Helm, right?
the release. I agree. Yeah, but something to keep in mind, Helm chart related, I think would be useful.
Yeah, let me add for now this to the milestone, then we can figure out whether we want to postpone it. Okay, what is the PR you're talking about? Like when testing?
I don't remember the number, but it's one about not the syncing. It's below. It's about adding a workflow, a testing workflow for the Helm chart. Yeah, this one exactly. Okay. That could be very useful. I think.
Yeah, I guess this is like for publishing, right? So basically, the contributor. Yeah, I think he should just take a look on this one and update it, right, to ensure we publish the Helm charts. Because I think they had some initial work here, correct? Yeah, publish Helm charts. Actually, that makes sense. Anything else we miss for 2.1? I think so the breaking yeah, I think one thing I probably forget to add is the breaking change, right, for pod spec overrides. I think I didn't add this to the change log.
Yeah, and maybe the config API. I'm not sure how if that can be considered as a breaking change as well.
Oh, yeah, it's a good point.
When you upgrade existing, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work, the upgrade.
Yeah, we introduced config API to manage controller settings. Are there any other breaking changes that I forgot to add here? Yeah, we probably need to go through the changelog items and to see like, if we miss something that we should announce. Yeah, go ahead, Seth.
Really quickly, how much of these do we need to implement in the SDK? Because like, are we keeping the SDK only for data scientists and machine learning engineers to use it to fire jobs, or do we need to expose some of the functionality for the backend as well to be available in the SDK so MLOps admin might be able to use it?
Yeah, I think so.
kubectl would, yeah.
The majority of these features, they're already available in SDK. So for example, like the work we've done with data cache actually has pushed changes to the SDK, which allows users to bootstrap cache using initializers.
Yeah.
Similar to like the QLoRa support, I know Xiao has pushed change to support QLoRa in Touchstone config and LoRa and Dora. So all of these features are available in SDK. Maybe the one thing which is not kind of the options which we're right now working on, right, for pod template overrides.
Yeah. For API, right now we don't support, for example, runtime creation, deletion, or management in the SDK.
Yeah.
Does it make sense, or should we keep it outside?
I think we should talk about it in the future because I think eventually the goal of runtimes is to be managed by platform engineers, which have some familiar with kube control, so they don't really need to have Kubernetes, Kubeflow SDK. You don't need to use it. Yeah, but eventually,
it makes sense.
I think we should have a very clear docs to explaining how to use some of those features. Like for example, like when we introduce a Volcano support, we might need to think about to which persona this feature is useful. Because I think for Emily, they don't really need to understand KQ or Volcano or Unicorn. They kind of like want to have ability to have enough available capacity for their jobs, and they don't really care how those jobs be orchestrated. Which means like for them, we created like the runtime idea, which kind of platform engineer can create the runtime, which has the Volcano support, which allows like efficiently schedule the train jobs.
Yeah, this is good to be discussed maybe in a community call because like we need probably to have documentation for different personas, like MLOps documentation, which covers things from MLOps point of view and other people too, like data science. Like if I'm a data scientist, for example, I don't want to read about MLOps or all this kind of stuff to install or configure. If I'm MLOps, I might not require or need to look at the other documentation. Cool. Thank you. Sorry, I have to drop, guys. Thank you. Have a good meeting.
All right, sounds great. So then anything else for the trainer, or we can move on quickly to the SDK? All right, let's again, please let us know if you find any issues, and we will continue to, like make another RC if we need to, to cherry pick the bug fixes. Otherwise, we'll just release it in the end of October. So I think for SDK, we are planning to release again 0.2 relatively soon. We kind of like, I think Anya previously asked us to support hyperparameter optimization in order this PR to actually demo it at the KubeCon. So I think this PR we probably need to kind of merge. And I didn't get a chance to add the unit test. So I kind of like think if they want to demo it in the KubeCon, we can add the unit test afterwards. And we have like some minimal, MVP sort of functionality for the optimizer client. But overall, I think this is working fine for now. So if you get a chance to review, please let me know if that looks good. And I think we also need to review this training options PR that we're working on. I think it's this one. Yeah, the 291. So this PR. And we probably need to introduce this custom trainer container, like the one we talked about previously. Because there was a discussion in the Slack thread to see like, whether like we want to introduce a new type of custom trainer which allows users to pass the image, and those users probably don't want to use options. And I think, yeah, for now, I guess like the agreement was to introduce this new custom trainer container, which has the image parameter instead of training function, and we will only allow to use it inside the Kubernetes backend and probably in the container backend for Docker and Podman, where a user can directly bypass an image instead of training function. Yeah, maybe one question so probably Fiona is not here right now, but what about the PR for Docker and Podman support? Do we know anything about it? I know, Antonin, you've been reviewing this a little bit, right, before?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Fiona is on the call, but as far as I can tell, to me, it's a fairly good state, and Fiona should be able to address any pending comment soon, I think.
Yeah, let's definitely follow up, I think. From our last conversation, it looks like it's fine to release it after HPO.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah,
not urgent.
yeah, if it is not kind of urgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I
The,
think overall, I also like the state of this PR. It looks very
the,
good.
the
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
no, I agree with you. It's not as far as I can tell, it's not urgent. The option PR to me is more pressing, I would say, because the Kubeflow pipeline folks they would want to have it for the integration with Kubeflow pipeline. So yeah, the option PR ideally we would have it in the next release.
Yep, sounds good. And for the options, so to support pod template overrides, correct?
Yeah, and exactly that's what the Kubeflow pipeline folks would want to have, but also some other options like the labels and etc. that
Yep.
are very useful for some of the use case.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we just need to, I guess, then
Yeah, and so Abhijit in India, it's Diwali, and lots of people are in. So that's the reason why Abhijit isn't that responsive as usual. Is on PTO.
okay.
He should be back soon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a holiday, yeah, this week, so it's fine. I think,
Exactly.
he can definitely finalize it next week, and I think we
Yeah,
just need
sounds
to
good.
refactor, yeah, for the new API, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
I guess so. Labels, annotations, pod template overrides, and the name we should introduce
Yeah,
initially.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But also the fact that with that new API, you can pass your own actual options. Like it's really
Okay.
extensible. Yeah.
But the registration mechanism we will introduce in the future, or you're talking about they can pass it just passing the spec.
Exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. As an option in the option argument, like the list. As
Okay.
long as the argument implement the contract, the protocol. Yeah.
So the job spec, I guess, right? They need to add to their option.
Yeah, so you see they've defined Abhijit defined what's called a Python protocol, like it's somewhere that define actually the signature of that. So as long as the user, yeah, exactly that protocol thing, yeah, exactly. So that's the definition of the protocol at the line 45, which is basically the signature. And as long as you provide
I see.
something that matches that, it's almost like duck typing, right? If you will.
Yeah, and I understand. So basically, it's a custom type, which kind of a base class
Exactly.
you can inherit, and then bypassing, right, is your custom.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think this is great. Like even like some of the APIs we won't support, users will still be able to pass it, using this custom propagation mechanism, and we will we will support set of defaults that we want to support, like pod temp override, labels, annotations, and name probably, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let's definitely like follow up next week on this. I will also try to submit PR for this custom trainer container as we discussed.
That's good.
Yeah, to
Cool.
support image. And one of the feedback I kind of like get that all the clients probably should have the same API. So not exactly the same, but at least some of them might be similar, like get job, list jobs, get job logs. So I'm talking about, optimizer client API and the trainer client API. So for now, like what I did in this PR, I only introduced like 3 set of APIs, which is optimize, get job, list jobs, and delete job, I think. But eventually, for example, like we want to introduce maybe get job logs API for optimizer client as well to make it consistent across multiple clients. Yeah, so users don't really get confused of what API we see, I think is here. So right now it's list jobs, get job, and delete job. But making those consistent would make sense for us in the long run. All right. Anything else that we need to talk about? Well, I think we're in a definitely good shape. Like, super exciting to to see the KL release and SDK and the trainer. So let's definitely like continue to do this before KubeCon. So I think maybe one thing I want to tell, if like we have this maintain your track session in KubeCon. So and I know like we will give updates for the several projects under Kubeflow foundational ecosystem. I think if you want to call out specifically on the KL side, we definitely should follow up on this. So maybe having one slide which show like a screenshot or something which say, hey, like we're working on this cool extension, it will be soon available. So Adriel or William, like if you want to prepare something, let us know. Our session will be in the main, in the main KubeCon maintainer track.
Right. Can we some kind of like maybe we have a slide on record a video and paste it there so people maybe with a QR, I don't know, something people can see on the side. Is that?
Are you talking about just adding the QR code to the repo? Or?
No, yeah, I mean, not just a repo, maybe a video or something that they can see in their own place.
Yeah,
maybe
we can definitely add the video. So because we have session which is 30 minutes, and we have like I think we have 5 minutes per track, basically per person. If we so it's part of, for example, notebooks updates, or it's part of, I don't know, ML experience updates. We can talk about Kale, similar to how we talk about SDK, right?
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we will find out something. We will try to have some script or something to say.
Yeah, if you have just one slide, is sufficient. Just
okay, one slide is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea for the recording is like maybe if people want to go deeper, they can just go and see the full idea. But let's see. Let me talk with Stefano to see what we can.
All right. Yeah, recording. I know Stefano wants to do something for the booth, like Kubeflow booth, which is in the solution showcase. We can definitely do this as well. Yeah, but let's follow up on this on the thread.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let's continue on Slack and we can discuss there.
Anything else?
Nothing from our side.
Thanks, guys. I guess speak to you soon. See you around.
Thank you.